Hey, hello reckoners, and welcome back to Redemption in the Bottom of the Well. I have to applaud these game developers because I noticed it during the last episode, but there's a skip button here to skip all the dialogue and just go to the next decision. That is so nice for a game that is all about replayability. Some games have rewind functions. There'd be some middle ground, be nice. This is the best. If you can't have both rewind and fast forward, I would definitely prefer fast forward. So here we are at the first decision again. I have reselected default Alice. Do I now basically make the same decisions I made last time up until that final fateful one, or do I diverge completely? I think I'm going to do the former. Let's go to chess. Indeed, chess is our buddy. And okay, so it's actually, I remember this now. It's giving us an out. Do we actually still want to go with chess? We can choose no. If this was NPR, wait, don't tell me news quiz, I would say I'm getting a strong hint from the host that I should go with a different option. However, this is not that, so I will press on. Zip. Okay, take things. We didn't even get to a period of time where this mattered. Okay. Yeah, we're good, man. I wish I could just drag these. But I think we're... I don't know what question mark means. Okay, bombs incoming, indeed. Okay, so... here we can go to the motorcycle, walk out. Let's appropriate a car. See, the thing, I can... I'm gonna choose the same. I'm curious what'll happen when I try to go to shelter instead of keep walking. Okay, keep walking and start looking for shelter. Because I chose this last time, and that killed me, I believe. I found myself looking over my shoulder all the time, as if the flash could come at any time. Aren't you supposed to look away from the flash? Well, yeah, but... how could I not? Some warning? Something? The sirens were pointless. Weren't they supposed to warn when the event is imminent? Now I'd been out for at least an hour and no bombs yet. I think I would have stayed at home. Or done... oh, why did it skip? Dang it. You do that when you have this dream. I did what I did. So how long did you risk staying out? I asked Chess what he thought, and he just shook his head. He was going to keep going. Okay, so I'm pretty sure if we follow Chess, we're gonna die again. So I'm gonna demand me stop and look for shelter. I'm sorry. Chess. So what'd you find? I kept checking my map. When I saw the subway sign, I knew I was going in the right direction. I kept feeling like the bomb would fall on my head at any moment. They keep saying the bomb, like they knew it's an A-bomb, not A-bomb, as if it was a bomb. When Chess saw that, he immediately told me to stop. I tried to argue with him that we had to find shelter, but he wouldn't have any of it. He said I should go, but he was going to keep going, that we were already wasting time. Nothing I could say could persuade him otherwise. Just like that. He said to come look for him after it was all over, although I had my doubts. Anyway, I had other, more immediate things to worry about. That was probably not very safe, though. I mean, it must have been packed. Oh, yes. As I got closer, I did see something that made my heart surge. Policemen. Actual government workers. They were ushering everyone down below, and people were actually moving in a somewhat orderly fashion. Is your subway system bomb-proof? I have no idea. I was caught in the stream of people either way, and found myself shepherded below ground. It smelled of pee and vomit and body odor, and the crying and shouting made talking impossible. So a regular Friday night at the underground. Funny. Anyway... there was actually a semblance of order down there. Policemen were giving people places to sleep, also down on the tracks. And you ended up on the tracks. With nothing but the clothes on my back, pretty much. I just pulled my knees up to my chest and held my head down and waited for the end. At least you weren't alone, and it had to be safer underground, right? I didn't feel safe. Not at all. Someone could have knocked me out. Hell, someone could probably have shanked me down there and no one would have noticed. I was almost more frightened of the other people there than I was of the bombs. The bombs were just abstract threats, while all these panicking people were right there. What? No coming together of people? No great communion in the face of danger? Every man for himself. Anyway, apocalypse. So it was real, I mean, in the dream. Yes. The first one was the worst, because the light went out with it. I tried to make myself as small as I could, but I still got kicked once or twice by people running by in a panic. A few moments later, there were flashlights out, police shouting, telling everyone to be calm. Be calm? Bullshit. The lights were out and it was completely, utterly pitch dark. The first one, there were more. I lost count. With every blast, there was this terrible sound from the roof, like it was crying out. Small pieces of it rained down with every rumble, and we all responded to its cry. Jesus Christ. Did the roof hold? It groaned. Rocks tumbled down. Someone got hit by one big enough to hurt, and they cried out. I don't think the station was very far underground at all, and it hadn't been designed with bombings in mind. That must have been pretty harrowing. Not just for me. A lot of people got up and said they weren't going to stay. There was a surge of people. Panic was mounting again. It was quiet outside, but the policemen didn't want anyone leaving yet. There was a lot of screaming, some demanding to be let out. I had to stand up to avoid getting jostled or trampled again. What did you do? That's when the final bomb hit. Close. Maybe it had been shut out. Of course, maybe, who knows. I was looking towards the exit when it hit, and I could see the firestorm sweep down into it, engulfing the hapless policemen and anyone who had been pushing against them to come out. Everyone screamed, but it was drowned out by the sound of the roof beginning to fall. Dust covered everything. Holy shit, what'd you do? After I finished coughing, something was burning so I could actually see, although I didn't particularly want to. What I saw was that most were either huddling down, praying to whatever god they had that they wouldn't be buried alive, or then trying to escape. No one could get past the burning wreckage at the entrance, but the subway tunnels were wide open. Most were crowding into the tunnels leading westwards, away from the downtown area, but it was a stampede. The tunnels leading east, back from where I came, were practically empty by comparison. I would get out of there if I were you, regardless of direction. Where'd you go? Excellent, we made it to a new choice. Definitely not option 3, that's a terrible option. Joining the crowd running west seems like the most interesting. But I also don't want to get robbed. The thing is, if I go east, I don't know, I have to backtrack again. I'm gonna go west. I started running and almost immediately ran into a solid wall of backs. I ran into a solid mass of people, pushing myself between bodies until I was being carried along. That's when I realized I had made a mistake. Dang it! How so? The roof was starting to collapse and I was trapped, barely able to keep myself from being trampled to death while getting no closer to the tunnel entrance. God, I was like a fish drowning on land or something, but there was nothing I could do. I got caught in the collapse, yes. The roof came down on the crowd in slow motion, groaning as the steel supports gave away. I caught a glimpse of the burning skyline before a piece of concrete pinned me down. I think one crushed my leg, the other my hand, and... God, around me people were screaming, and then suddenly going silent. You have a sick imagination, Alice. I don't. Till it's real, blah blah blah, same death, yep. And then it would get pitch dark. Dang it, Leroy. Well, death number 2. That was, that time to death, 9-ish minutes. New record. So let's go east. I mean, I feel like the bombing is heavier downtown, so the roof is more likely to collapse the more downtown you go, but let's try it anyway. I mean, not a lot. So far, both times maybe not the first time. I don't know, that time, I didn't really feel like I made a terribly bad decision. It's really just kind of like luck, trial and error type stuff. For the most part. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Let's snip to, that important decision. Okay, didn't want to tangle with the crowd. I went east. I rushed into the east tunnel, heedless of what came behind me. As I ran, I heard the collapse of the subway station behind me, and saw it all as light went out. Ooh, shit. Good you got out of that one. Yeah. I had a flashlight, thank God. As I shone it around the tunnel, I realized to my amazement I was the only one who'd ran into it. Maybe others had run into the parallel one, but I was alone here. I went back to the tunnel collapse, but it was just an insurmountable barrier of concrete and rebar. On the other hand, of which you might have been. On the other side, sorry. Well, I don't know if where I was much better. What if all the stations had collapsed? What if I was trapped in this tunnel? And wasn't that a hell of a lot more likely the closer to ground zero you get? Exactly. Fair point. The thing was, I knew this line. This was my line, and the next stop was my stop. So right back to zero, pretty much. At least it was faster to walk underground than above ground. Had the station collapsed? Take a wild guess. Of course it had. That's not good. There was a similar pile blocking the entrance here, but I shone my flashlight all over it, climbing up as high as I could until I saw something amazing. The glint of metal. A train? Yep. It must have been in station when the bombs hit. I started digging. I mean, this took a long while, a full day at least, but in the end I had unearthed the emergency exit at the back of a train car. And you got that one open too? With some effort. I had no shortage of blunt objects though. When I stepped into it and realized it was sunlight I was seeing further ahead, I could have cried. So you could get out? Yes. Through one of the windows, I crawled through a short tunnel made of debris, careful not to look at what else the tunnel was made out of, and crawled up into, well, pretty dim, pretty foreboding sunlight, but still sunlight. And what did it look like? Better than the tunnel, but not by much. The sky was dark, a rain of ash was coming down. The city was burning, scorched, ruined, a bit like me probably crawling out of that hole. Awesome! Achievement unlocked, Metro 2016. It'd be cool if there were checkpoints, I could just go to Metro 2016 in the future. And radioactive ash? Presumably. Oh, I'm not so happy with that radioactive ash idea. Presumably, although I was too busy breathing in big gulps of fresh air to give a hoot. So what did you do? Great choice. I'm not gonna bother checking in my apartment. Although this game does seem to reward divergent thought. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. Attempt to find chest. That seems like it's not gonna happen. Like, even if, I don't know how that would work, succeed successfully. So let's... My inventory is full. Let's go back to my apartment. Let's do it. I want to get some more loot. You think your building might have been spared? You can't blame me for wanting to go home. I guess not. So what was it like? Awful. Ruins. Shards of glass everywhere. Burning cars and bodies. So many bodies. Although I think I learned my lesson down there in the tunnel. Better to get burnt to a crisp quickly than die of starvation at the bottom of a well. And your apartment building? Ooh, it was... I'm amazed it was still standing. Half of it had fallen off from the blast, but I could still see my window from the floor level. I decided to investigate. That's when I ran into Ross. Ross being a neighbor. Long story short, he and a few others had survived the blast at close range. I was just so happy to see another living human being, especially one whose face I knew, that I went with him. Seems a reasonable thing to do. Yes, we gathered at the bottom floor, a little group of us, Ross, me, an old lady from the ground floor, a family with 2 kids, the night janitor who had hidden in a broom closet when the bombs hit. No one was badly hurt, but we were all coughing from the ash. Weren't you worried? I mean, about radiation. I didn't really have time to be worried about radiation. We were more worried the building would collapse on us. I mean, half of it was already gone. Okay, so what did you do with your little group? Well, first we all sat down and exchanged stories of our survival. Speculations on the causes of the attack, all that. It was the most natural thing in the world. But soon enough, we needed to make a decision. Ross said I was the last person he'd found alive in our building. Do I stay with the group? I really don't want to, but I feel like it's probably what I should do, so let's do it. We're definitely not staying put, that's not even, this is boring. I argued strongly that we needed to leave right then and there, but what? But they wanted to stay. The family with the child, he'd started feeling bad, nauseous, diarrhea. He wasn't in any shape to walk anywhere, they said. So what did you do? Later, suckers. I've got 2 working legs. I decided to leave on my own. They weren't surprised. There had been a couple of others who had also gone off on their own after they'd found them. This is a suspiciously involved dream, you know. Tell me about it. So what next? Oh, that was pointless. A little side story. We can skip that in the future, I'm pretty sure. Let's try and find chests. So, going after chests, where would you start? Indeed, good question, Hatter. Simple. I knew where he'd gone to find his sister, and I knew where she lived. And where was that? Well, pretty far actually, out in the burrows. It'd take a while, that's donkey. It would take a while to walk, what with all the public transportation out of order. As if you'd let something like that deter you. True, but it was pretty far, and I was alone. It would be dangerous. Did you reconsider? Heck no! I wonder what the difference between these two options actually is. Interesting. I had a place to go and the will to get there. The only thing remaining was the actual getting there. What did it look like? The streets? Awful. Ruined buildings everywhere, charred by fire, most of them. We had to pick our way between cars and debris and bodies. There were so many bodies. It makes me sick just to think about it. Must have been pretty difficult to travel. Yes, although it was oddly inconsistent, I think my building was the last one directly affected by the blast. About a block on the opposite direction, there were mainly intact buildings, as much as you could call them intact, I guess. Still standing. What about the others? Were there any survivors on the street? Yeah, there were others. A lot of them were a lot worse off than me. Some were blind, others were burned, broken, or in shock. There just wasn't anything I could do. Where was the government? I don't know. No one knew. I hadn't heard a single ambulance siren since the event. For all we knew, there was nothing left. And the burrows? Oh gosh, I don't know how to stop that. Should I eat food? Nope, I'm just gonna get sad to death. Well, as I left the center, things became less charred and destroyed. But there was destruction everywhere. It felt like no part of the town had escaped the bombs. Go on, how did it go? It was pretty slow going, and there was this ashy rain half the time, but there wasn't all that much I could do. At least I had a goal. But you made it. What did you find? Disappointment. It was with a lot of nervousness that I set out to find his sister's house. Had he made it? If he hadn't, what would I do if I found his sister? Should I try to rescue her? I had no idea. Go on. Cut to the chase. That's the tragic thing. I didn't get any of my answers. I came to the house, saw the last name as confirmation, and knocked. No one seemed to be at home. All the windows were blown in, so I walked around it, peeking in. Nothing but glass shards and dust, and emptiness. No sign at all of Chess. None. Or, well, eventually I broke in, just to be sure. Maybe she was unconscious somewhere and needed help. But no, the house was empty. The cupboards had been slightly emptied. There was some sign of bags being packed in the bedroom, but that was all. Very anticlimactic. So what did you do? There's actually not much else to say, huh? Well, I'd been feeling it for a long time already, but by then it just came to an end. I couldn't move anymore. I was too weak. I had to rest, but I couldn't even keep food down in the end. I couldn't even stay conscious or talk. Radiation poisoning? Yes, of the acute, bad kind. I suppose it's lucky I can't really say much more of my last time on Earth. I was too delirious, too out of it, to really notice or realize anything anymore. I came in and out of it, but mostly I remembered incredible pain whenever I was conscious. Boom! Thus concluded the dream. So I'm going to cut this episode off here. Next time what we're going to do is I'm going to start off by exploring the difference between going out on my own, specifically looking for Chess, versus going out on my own. And if I happen to see him, I happen to see him. So I'll see you guys then. Signature catchphrase.